in a lot of people's minds, especially young people, comedy isn't that cool. And most people's intro to comedy is like this not that great open mic at a comedy club or at a bar, and you went and it wasn't very fun, and you're like, comedy isn't cool, I get it, I won't go to comedy shows anymore.
Squad Laughs is an independent comedy show that takes place in Montreal. The show's goal is to be different, to be inclusive, and most of all, to be funny. By doing things just a little differently, we found that the show really resonates with a younger audience that has generally been uninterested in local comedy.
I always expected it to fizzle out after a while. I sort of expected people to lose interest. Whenever something's going good, I mean, you want to sort of grab hold of it and see how far you can take it. And I think that's sort of how the show has become what it is.
I want a no casket funeral. I look fucking great.
From the show tonight, I think first and foremost, I just hope it's funny and I hope it's fun. We're hoping that like 50 or 60 people will show up tonight. You can never be certain. Facebook says that 60 people will show up, but sometimes it varies quite a bit.
You get nervous a lot before shows?
Before shows, I definitely get pretty nervous, especially in the sort of minutes leading up to it. You'll probably see a bit later, like for about a half hour before the show starts, I just like am very frantic and trying to do 100 things at once, and I'm always like scribbling into a notebook and crossing things off and making sure like everything is sort of worded the right way. So before shows I have a really nervous energy, and it's sort of exciting at the same time though, and I sort of enjoy that nervousness. And then I find as soon as you step onto the stage, it all goes away, and you can't really do anything about it from there on out. So it's just like fun, and the nervousness is gone. This is one of my notebooks that I keep with me like day to day. There's a lot of garbage in here that never gets used. This is a joke that I did like 3 or 4 times and then sort of I dropped it. But it's just about how I miss being a baby, because people say really nice things to babies, like, oh, look at those big blue eyes, or they're so cute. But now they just say things like, hey, you gotta pay for that, or, but if he's the real doctor, then who are you? And that's, this is the good work that I get done in my notebooks. All of the acts are looking first and foremost to entertain you and make you happy, instead of to blow your minds with their incredible thoughts. Like, I think that comics in general, some of us can have large egos, and I'm like, I myself included, where you think that like what you have to say is really important, and that is great for the most part, but I don't think you always need to say like every crazy idea that comes to your mind. Yeah, I really like the moments before the show, and sort of right around 9 p.m. too, because we usually start like 10 or 15 minutes late, and we're always asking like, should we start yet? Is it time? And it's funny to like place, I guess, the fate of the bit in someone else's hands, and then you have to like respond to them in a way that's funny, which, I mean, you have confidence that you can do that, but you never know if it'll work out, and I enjoy that. I don't know why, it's just like this weird drug that you can't get any other way. Just knowing that like you have to do something and you can't stop it, and it's about to happen, and all you can do is like wait. I like the futility of the whole situation. On a local level, it's so important to try and expose people to as many different points of view as possible. Every comic who's been doing it for a bit will have had some like god-awful shows, and some shows where just no one laughed at anything and it felt so bad and you're so like hurt inside, and it's really important to like experience that and get it over with. Yeah, being embarrassed in front of a room full of people like sucks and it's not fun, but it's also sort of good to have that happen and realize like, oh, I can do this. This is fine. It doesn't like it won't. It's not the end of the world if people don't laugh because it's happened like 6 times now that people haven't laughed and like we're all still here.
You are really feeling the autumn season, aren't you? Yeah, you are.
Comedy shows can be quite homogenous. Comedy shows can be, it can sometimes feel like you're hearing the same joke over and over again. It can sometimes feel like you're hearing the same perspective over and over again. So there's just an emphasis on changing sort of who it is that's telling the joke and changing where this person's coming from that just changes the jokes completely, and I think it gives the audience like both more bang for your buck. You get more interesting jokes. You don't feel like you've heard these jokes before. And also, potentially, you can connect more with the jokes, especially if you're not like a white dude, than if it's not a white dude up on stage giving a white dude's perspective. Then you can like potentially see yourself on stage, and it can hopefully open up the comedy community a little bit and make I think it was important to have a diverse group of comics just because it makes a better show. It's like I've just watched so many shows where it's the same sort of bit over and over again, or it's the same type of act over and over again. Please give it up for Ben Sosa-Wright.
Correct response. As you can see, there are cameras around. The news is here. The news is here. I'm not going to lie, they're here for me, okay? I'm not going to lie to you any longer. They're here for me because it's just worth mentioning right now that I'm a star.
I've done shows before where I'll be like the only queer comedian, and like that can be fine, but I'll notice like a lot of, especially older, mostly straight male comics in a more traditional venue at a comedy club or bar, like come to the microphone with this like aggression almost. And I think especially with people who go to Squad Laughs, I think a lot of them might be queer people or like identify as a woman. Maybe they've been bullied or maybe they've been put down in those sort of like masculine spaces. And it's nice to have a show like Squad Laughs where like everyone's kind of coming to the mic with a positive energy. And I feel like there's a real emphasis on that with Squad Laughs, whereas other shows it's kind of like, here's your drink ticket, like do a type 5 and then like get the fuck off the stage.
Do you guys know about animals? Have you considered learning about them? Greenland shark doesn't even hit sexual maturity until 150 years old. That's when they start banging. 150. So you can live your whole human life. You can live your whole human life and a half. Start to finish, and some of those sharks still haven't even fucking banged. You know what I'm talking about? Stupid virgin sharks. Stupid.
She is one half of Squad Laughs. Please give it up for Tatiana Lal.
Just personal updates. I've recently come into possession of 10 boyfriends. We're looking to reflect the communities that we operate in and reflect the identities that we see around in our like own lives. And so that means booking like queer people, booking people of color, prioritizing people who maybe don't come from comedy backgrounds, and that kind of ends up creating the most interesting stuff. Like personally for me, I think it's the most interesting to see someone who doesn't have all of these hang-ups in regards to genre, or like doesn't know all of the conventions and like rules of the genre, try to operate and create something within that medium, because then I think it's something interesting and they don't feel like held back by all of the like whatever rules.
Do you guys ever watch The Red Carpet? Yeah. I really like, my favorite part of The Red Carpet is whenever like the Entertainment Tonight or whatever reporters,
they usually say this to a lady. They say, who are you wearing tonight? Who are you wearing? And I guess it usually means like, what designer designed your clothes? But it's like if they caught a fucking weird-ass cannibal on that day, it could be so interesting. Like if Buffalo Bill ever makes it to the red carpet and people are like, who are you wearing today? And they're just like, well, the shirt is Sally, and the pants are Peter, and Rhonda's on the lampshades back home.
First time I ever wrote a joke and I thought this is funny and this is like something that could be performed on a stage and people would laugh. It was just very simple. It was just, I think they should have named sandwich bags that are a little bit too small for a sandwich. And that's what made me realize, like, I like this, and this is funny, and it's like, you can write jokes. It's not just those weird people who wrote 1,001 jokes for kids from the Scholastic book order form.
Thank you very much for coming to Squad Laughs 15. That's it for us tonight. Please come back in November. Squad Laughs 16. All right. Have a good night, everybody.